Well, the original plan for today's episode was to come back, take on Salford at home before then Crewe Alexandra away. The problem with that being the Salford game, we had quite a few injuries, still managed to get a point out of it, but there were next to no highlights. So instead of their initial plan, it's 2 away days starting off with a trip to take on Swindon Town. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 29 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM with Buxton FC. I hope you're doing well. And come update is I said a little bit of a change in plan off the back of one of the more boring games of FM I've played so far in the save. We'll recap that shortly. Not that there's much to recap, but instead of taking on Salford City first up in today's episode, we're away at Swindon Town before. As planned, we also travel away to take on Crewe Alexandra. So if you guys are looking forward to that and what will be the last episode either side of the Easter break off the back of this, we will then get stuck back into things, but I'm going to take a break over Easter weekend because why not? It's a proper holiday weekend. I'll make the most of it with family and whatnot. But today's episode, we did play a couple of games in League 2. They were, if we go back here against both Walsall and Barrow, the team who did reject us for a job late last season. These days, they might be regretting that despite the fact we could only get a draw off them there, seeing as they are down in 21st. But if you missed the episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Since then, if I just go back here for some reason, just clicking too much there on my mouse, we have played 3 games instead of the 2. Now, first up, another draw off the back of that Barrow one, a 1-1 this time at home to Stevenage. To fight back here from an early goal we can see there through Sam Followin, but Alexandra thankfully did grab an equaliser there with 15 minutes left. So for the first time this season, we dropped some points during the league at home. To be fair, stats-wise, it's probably a game where you could have got something out of, but this time it was us with not that many shots on target XG-wise. We were the better team, but just couldn't find a way there to pick up all 3 points. So a little bit disappointing there off the back of that Barrow result, a couple in a row. You could argue where that was the case, but thankfully then went back into the EFL trophy and picked up a win with Vidian pretty close to a full rotation. Lewis Jones working his way back to full fitness. Really impressive in this game. 2 goals in the first half, and also G. Garner, just as the stroke of halftime, did tick over. So 2 players there working their way hopefully back into making their way into the first team with goals there. They grab one back there in injury time through Justin Amaluzor, but thankfully they are losers. They get beaten 3-1 from us there, and it does mean already, despite the fact that so far we've taken this Pizza Cup not seriously at all, we've already qualified for the next stage, and that might be quite useful because the team we've got left to play, Fleetwood Town, we lost to 6-2 earlier this season. So quite thankful that we have done that. We'll see how deep we can go there in the Pizza Cup. Not that I really care too much about that competition, but it's the only one we've picked up off the back of today's episode because, again, we dropped some points at home with that 0-0 draw in the game we were supposed to come back for where we took on Salford. So you can see there on the right-hand side, definitely not the strongest team we did put out for this game, likes there of Ollie Shield coming up from our under-21s and getting a start, but somehow actually found a way here to hold them to a point. You can see the stats there. It was not an exciting game at all, so that's the reason that we did skip over that one, but it does mean that we do find ourselves and slid down the table ever so slightly off back of the end of today's episode. These days, we sit in 6th on 21 points, still very, very safe though of where we were expected to be. Down in the relegation zone, we will find Mansfield as well as that Grimsby Town team we did just beat in the Pizza Cup. Still pretty happy with how things are going here this season, albeit our form of late is just starting to flatten out a little bit. 3 draws in our last 4 games. Fingers crossed we can turn that around during the course of today's episode, but it will be tough with a couple of trips away from home. But before we get stuck in to the injury update as well, as the team will take on first up in today's episode, we did before that Salford game and even before the Stevenage one have a job interview offer, but I declined it. And when I show you the team, you'll probably see why. Unfortunately, it's not a team from up in Sky Bet League 1 like you'd imagine might be the case, and also not even a team from the Championship, even though there are a couple of jobs from the Championship that are starting to pop up. Let's go over here to the job centre, Watford and Portsmouth. I'd be interested, but they're not after us at the moment, probably because we actually just signed a new contract here with Buxton off the back of yesterday's episode. We did manage to get the percentage of club compensation required down to only 30%, so maybe that might help us when a team does get interested. But you can see there, we started that contract only 2 weeks ago. Not too sure if that might fend off some interest for a little while because of that. But no, the team that did offer us a job interview once we go back here to the Championship. Let's go down to League One. It wasn't there, and it wasn't even in League Two. We need to go down to the National League. It was boring, wouldn't it? To be fair, I still love their shirts with the Crestwood Army all over it, but there's no chance in heck I'm going from a team in the playoff picture in League Two to one that's struggling to stay up in the National League. So definitely wasn't interested in that job interview offer, but did think we better bring it up, even though that was just a terrible idea, not too sure what they were thinking. Currently, they've got Mickey Mellon in charge of Scotsman, and he is actually their proper manager they picked up instead of us formerly of Oldham Athletic. A wonderful name to go along there with the Crestwood Army, but there was absolutely no chance we were going to Boreham Wood from Buxton with our current situation. So there's a job interview offer we did have that we did not attend. Just no, I'm not too sure what they were smoking when they thought they could get us there off a team up in League Two. But injury-wise, as I said, have been affected by this off the back of yesterday's episode, especially going into that game we were supposed to come back for against Salford City. Alis Lahane, Zayn Mohammed, Abdul Salam, as well as Cole Kelly have all recently been dealing with a couple of injuries. Thankfully, they're now back and can play some football. But on the left-hand side, we've got a couple that are quite serious, and in particular in one position, and it's left back Jaden Sweeney out with a broken collarbone. That's for 4 to 7 weeks. He's going to be missing for a fair while as our club captain. To cut that off, we've also got Jake Vokins out with fractured ribs for 6 days to 3 weeks. So our first and second choice left backs here are injured currently in this Buxton team. That does mean Jake Leake going to get some football, which will hopefully make sure he stops complaining to the press about the lack of game time he's getting here at Buxton. Also, we have got Chris Zay with another injury, Paul knee ligaments. He's out for 6 to 12 days. So a lot of injuries there down our left-hand side going into today's episode. As mentioned, that does mean that Jake Leake's getting some game time here in the first team. It also means that Blair Gully, the New Zealander formerly of Tottenham Hotspur, has been called up here to our senior squad. Not a bad player, but certainly someone I would like to develop in the under-21s before he becomes a bit more of a member in that first team, probably when Jake Leake does eventually leave, but he'll do a decent job for us as a backup while we've got Sweeney as well as Vokins out with that injury. And also, we do have Lewis Jones in there at left wing, as you saw before. Really good performance in that Pizza Cup game against Grimsby Town, while Chris Zay is out with injury. And down the reserves, Cole Kelly, we can use him if we need to, but is also coming back from a recent injury. So a couple of people are missing here for today's episode. And also, we've got a couple on a heavy workload. You can see the Eddie Manning is on one, as is Jed Garner, albeit Alis Lahane on recent form. Probably deserves that first team spot anyway. Ashton Muir on a heavy workload to be fair. So is Luca Colville. He's just a little bit less injury prone. And also, his recent form, just like Lahane, has been a little bit better. And we've got Salem in there over Pinion with the same heavy workload issues. So to be fair, it's not quite our full strength 11 we're putting out for the first game in today's episode, but certainly a better team than we put out for the game I played off camera now, which was, of course, against at that stage top of the table Salford. But now we come back to take on Swindon, who, to be fair, have dropped down the table over the course of the games that were played off back of yesterday's episode. They're a loss to Shrewsbury as well as Northampton. But in between then, they did beat Crawley Town, and they thumped us a little while ago, so this could be a bit tough if they're in that sort of mood. To be fair as well, this is their first game for a little while at home. Only one of their last 4 has been in front of their fans there at the county ground, so we'll see how we get on here against this team, who, to be fair, could be beatable, because they were expected to finish 18th, so there's kind of a part of me here thinking we could get a result, but also they look half decent based on their league position, and with this one being away from home with a little bit of rotation, maybe I should be happy here if we pick up a point like we did in that previous game against Salford. Let's see if we can do something here away from home in this game at Swindon. Hopefully keep ourselves firmly inside of one of those playoff promotion spots. We're not too far away from getting back up into the automatic promotion zone, but as I said, that's probably going to be a little bit of a step too far for us this season. But of course, if we can do well in periods like this where we are missing quite a few players, maybe it's not quite so far-fetched. But there is Swindon Town going with quite a defensive formation there, 5 at the back and 2 DMs. There we are with our traditional 4-3-3 compared to our usual best 11. Managerial comes in there in central midfield, Salam at right back, and of course we do have Lahane up front singing as he's in some quite good form, and Lewis Jones in there for the injured day, as well as Colville, which is also based on form, just like Lahane. So as I said, quite a few changes for this game to ideally what would put out against a decent team away from home. We'll see how this one goes here, but so far been a little bit of a quiet game. Neither team yet get a show off, and to be fair, so far Swindon are the team who are dominating position, which is a little bit of a concern because that should be us with our lower tempo. We finally get the first show off from this game, or we get the first highlight. Does see Swindon on the ball, and that's far too easy there. Alexandra does get in behind, and that one comes off the woodwork. Big chance there for the former Liverpool man, who to be fair is quite unhappy there at Swindon. I think he's expecting them to be up in League One, not down in League Two. So he currently is not too happy there. Is Mr. Glatzel, thankfully, might have made that count there by hitting the post instead of putting that one in the back of the net. But off the back of that, we are starting to get a bit more on the front foot. Now a corner, we float far post. Unfortunately, no one home, but Colville is there to tidy this up. Floats at far post there for Jones. Across the face of goal, unfortunately, no one home there to try and put that one away. Be fair, bit of a weird highlight. And just before halftime, hopefully a chance for us here, take a 1-0 lead. Casper is on the ball. The Ghost, what can he do? Just before we head in to the sheds, we'll punt this one deep. Unfortunately, it's one there from Swindon. They play that forward to Maguka. Great chance for Glatzel, who this time will hit the target, but thankfully, assistant referee has got his flag up. That one gets ruled out for offside, and that will do it for what has been a pretty average first half. To be fair, it's up to a little bit more than the Salford game I've cut out, but still, it's 0-0 at halftime. So I'm now sitting here through quite a big period of FM where not many goals have been happening, but thankfully we're the team currently looking a little bit more threatening based on stats. But Glatzel has now gone close a few times there for Swindon. Of course, that goal just then that did get ruled out for offsides. This game currently is quite evenly poised. We'll see if we need to make some changes here going into the later stages of this one. A couple of players out there currently on some okay ratings. Let's just see how they get on here in the early stages of the second half. Williams there a bit loose on the ball, but thankfully Colville can get that one back for us. Nice first time pass there with his left foot in behind to Lahane. Takes his time and beats Bycroft and puts that one away. And finally, I've got a goal here in this little session that I'm playing. We make it 1-0 away against Swindon, and this would be a pretty good result. A lovely pass that one first time up to Lahane from Colville, the defender there, not doing too well in Lang. And thankfully, we make the most of our first real big chance in this game and do take a 1-0 lead. El Lucy there up to Colville off the back of an interesting option. I think it was from Jones, who could have won the ball before then. Thankfully, though, we do get it back and do score that first goal for an informed Lahane. So 1-0 up here as we make our way towards the hour mark. Still Swindon yet to get a single shot on target, which is quite nice. But Lewis Jones struggling on a 6.4. Let's bring on here Caden Kelly for him, going to the last half hour of this game. That should be a nice sub for us, albeit I have just noticed I've done Manning instead, so I think we'll try here, put Kelly on instead, but hopefully that sub hasn't already gone through, because that might waste a sub then. Let's actually maybe try and put Kelly at left wing. Hopefully that hasn't gone through. In fact, maybe we just cancel this altogether. That might work. Hopefully, no sign of Manning here at left wing. I'll go back in though, and it still says Manning is coming on here for Jones. All of a sudden, I might have made a boo-boo here with the sub. Let's just try and cancel it properly. Kelly there at left wing, Lewis Jones off the field. Eddie and Manning is on the field. Oh dear, this could be a bit of a problem dynamic-wise, but now we are on the attack before that sub can go through. It's a goal to Lahane. Let's just try and sort this out properly here. Let's maybe put Williams off here for Kelly, but it looks like now that next sub has been lined up. I think I've stuffed this up properly. We're now 2-0 up. Let's just roll with it. We've just wasted a sub there. It's okay. Caden Kelly can play left wing. Manning can't. But we take a 2-0 lead there thanks to Lahane, who gets himself on a hat-trick off the back of that throw-in, which, to be fair, I haven't been paying too much attention to with that sub situation. I just made a meal of, but Leap there puts that one across the face of goal. 3 defenders, none of them could deal with the danger. We make it 2-0, and finally, we've got the man we want there at left wing, so it does mean we should have 4 subs left. It's only 3 because of that mistake, but hopefully now with a 2-0 lead, that won't prove too costly. About to make our way to the final 15 minutes of this game. Jim Hewlett picks up a yellow card on a 6.4. So a good time for us here to make our final 3 subs. Thankfully, not too many players here who do need rest at this stage, but Leeson can come on at centre back here, Mohammed in the balling midfield role, and also let's take off here League for Gully, because he probably needs a rest considering our current situation at left back. Let's see what the Kiwi formerly of Spurs can do there on that left-hand side, along with Caden Kelly, who kind of caused us the problems there with that sub situation. Now about to make our way into the final 10 minutes of this game. Let's start the time waste ever so slightly, get the goalkeeper here to slow that pace down as Abdul Salam drops down to a red heart. That's where that Kelly mistake does prove costly, but thankfully it looks like we'll hold on here and pick up some points. Now with 5 minutes left, we'll up the time wasting a little bit more and get our players to not pass into space, but could be 3 quite big points here coming up away from home. Let's see if Alas Lahane can complete a hat-trick. Couple of games now on camera where he's got himself stranded on 2 goals. It looks like we make our way into 5 minutes of added time. There is a late highlight. Caden Kelly can't quite win that ball in the ears of Swindon. They are here on the attack potentially in the second half. A nice long ball over the top there for McGurk. Edelusi will clear it, but not too well. Deflections galore. It's Pinball Wizard, and Josh Barrett there somehow has stayed on side and puts that one away. To be fair, we're already time wasting quite a bit, so can't do too much off back of conceding that goal. Edelusi, great chance there to clear lines, but big deflection from that Feely shot, and Barrett can pretty much tap that one in to close to an open net and make it 2-1. But thankfully, too little too late there for Swindon, who certainly surged home late, and also some big chances first half, which thankfully Glatzel couldn't quite make the most of through being offside and hitting the wood with Lahane, our key player there, a double early stages of that second half. And we pick up a pretty good win away from home 2-1 there at Swindon, which should keep us firmly inside of that playoff promotion picture at the moment. Fingers crossed we can maybe build on that once we get into the second game of today's episode. Aidan Manning, not too happy. I can't blame him. Sorry, mate. I can't say it in game, but it was my mistake. The buttons don't work as well as things probably do in real life. That's what we'll say about that managerial decision there that we have made to take him off after about a minute of game time there in that one at left wing. He shouldn't have swapped places with Caden Kelly on the bench. If he didn't do that, we would be fine. But that does see us go all the way up to 4th there off the back of that win. Hopefully now we can pick up 3 more points when we travel away to take on Crewe Alexandra. And going forward in a couple of days, and it's time for us here to play the second game of today's episode. Before we look here at Crewe Alexandra, the team who snuck above us at the end of today's episode. Now they're back just below us. But a quick look at the job centre, you'll see there's actually a bit of interesting stuff going on here in England with some jobs now becoming available. A few more in the Championship than at the start of today's episode. We've got the likes of Stoke City as well, who have now gotten available jobs. All of a sudden, there could be some interesting ones here popping up in this save if they take a look at our key point there. Because obviously, we're still here at Buxton and quite enjoying our time. Also, a couple of interesting ones there too in League One in Wickham as well as Cambridge United. We'll see what does happen over the course of the weekend. I get through the long one here if we get a job interview or if we'll still be here at Buxton come the start of next week. But the likes of Stoke City could be very interesting. Of course, they are our senior affiliate, but it does look like maybe we're not quite at that level yet, considering they want to hire Graham Potter as our replacement. He currently is sitting there at Birmingham City. If he does go, though, they're doing quite well up in 11th. So to be fair, could be a little bit of managerial merry-go-round coming up here in the Championship. That could be something which maybe we can make the most of. But next up for us here, we take on a Crewe Alexandra team who have Tyler Binden on loan from Nottingham Forest. The problem being he's currently out with an abdominal strain. I say a problem, it's a problem for them because he really should be quite good at this level. He's a very regular New Zealand international in real life at this point, but of course FM24 is quite an old game now, so not too sure if he's quite as good as he should be here in this database. But Tyler Binden, no doubt a big factor in how well Crewe Alexandra have been doing this season up until that injury. But Crewe are a handy team, sitting in a pretty similar spot to us so far on the table in League 2, and they predicted to be teams just above mid-table there at the Mournflake Stadium. Let's see what we can do against these guys. A pretty good job there away at Swindon. Let's see if we can back it up this time at Crewe Alexandra. It is a bit of a stronger team we're actually putting out for this one too. Alfie Pinion comes back in it right back. The only players who are there, who aren't usual first team players. Obviously, Lahane is still in there up front, and also Colville, because of recent form, in there over Estamio. But apart from that, it's our best 11 for the season, so we should really be pretty good going into this game. And obviously as well, we've got Jones there at left wing with Chris Say still out with that injury, which he had going into today's episode, and Jake Leake as well with the injury situation at left back. So a couple of changes, what we usually like to go of here for a big game. They've got the crop circles there mowed into the lawn at Crewe Alexandra. Let's see if we can keep ourselves above them, back into an automatic promotion spot, like was the case an episode or two ago. But this could be a bit of a tricky one here away from home. But to be fair, so far away form actually hasn't been too bad, apart from the odd game. But unfortunately, the first highlight of this one, it's Jam Bang there on the right-hand side for Crewe. A wonderful name. Hardy will put that one far post for Daro Castella, who puts it away. And just like that, we've gone 1-0 down from a far post ball. To be fair, that's a weakness, I think. Just in all defences on the game this year, which of course is last year's game, but wingbacks and fullbacks are pretty poor in the air. We have 3 players there who could have tried to head that one away. For some reason, they have not, and Costello puts that away to give Crewe an early 1-0 lead. But now down the other end here, Manning with a free kick. Probably could have taken the short option there on our left-hand side, but went for glory, and unfortunately that one does go over the bar. But good tackle there from Williams. Another chance for us here on the counter-attack. Lahane has a chance one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but unfortunately he comes up there with a big save. So Lahane can't quite do what he did in that previous trip to Swindon and make it 1-1 there with a great chance just less than 15 minutes in. But we're back on the attack here. Jones tries to square that one for that. Should have been Lahane inside that in the box, but it does mean though we get another chance here from set piece. We go near post, but Ashford will hit it away safely. Williams gets that ball back for us. But if this highlight does still continue, Manning will pump this one out right there looking for Colville, but Smith there with the interception, albeit Pinion gets brought down and it's a free kick. We don't see that. It's still 1-0, but a few minutes later, down the other end for a free kick here to Crewe, and that one just goes over the top right corner. So lots of action here in this game. Unfortunately, we are still 1-0 down though, and again, it's Crewe here with a potential highlight thrown inside of the final third. Smith there into Sanders. Some good short passing and a good block there to get us out of danger. This is an action-packed game. Now we're down the other end for a corner. Again, going far post. It does not pay off. Evans can collect that one for Crewe Alexandra. Throws out there Robinson on his left-hand side. Let's see if we can put some pressure here on this Crewe team inside of their own half. To be fair, we are trying to play a pretty low tempo system, not too much pressing to make sure we can get through all these match weeks here in leagues like the National League and League 2. Begin Hardy will float that one far post for Costello, and just like the first goal, we get out jump there at right back. Pinion might not be having a fun day there in the beef here also. That's Adalusi with his forward jumping reach. That might be a bit of an issue here in this game that we're finding out about. But Hardy links up with Costello yet again. Just no effort there from our defenders, and Casper gets a good touch on that, but can't keep it out of the back of the net. And we go 2-0 down halfway through the first half. And now there's a corner here, and Costello completes a hat-trick of headers inside 25 minutes. I feel dirty at the moment. We're getting a little bit FM'd, it feels like here, just based on some meta match engine stuff, because that honestly is a bit weird how we have not decided to challenge Costello there on 3 separate occasions. And they're back on the ball again here. Crewe Alexandra Jam Bang. It's a wonderful name. Just annoyed that now they're probably going to fresh us here in this one. He's on the ball. They get up there to Stuffer, who goes back to Standards. Some good short passing. A good chance there for Agios. He makes it 4-0. Thankfully, though, that one gets pulled up for offside. But I think here, Costello needs some tight marking, apart from the fact that apparently we're already doing it. Just haven't quite seen how that's working in the match engine. This has been pretty poor for us here so far in this game. To be fair, stats-wise, we're not doing that badly. Just shots on target is an issue. Again, they go far post. They're looking for Costello. Thankfully, that time he can't quite get that header on target. So far, that's been pretty much the only way they've been able to score goals. But it's still 3-0. We're in all sorts of trouble here early in this game. And again, dangerous spot for us here, a free kick on that right-hand side. Sanders will float this far post, and thankfully that one comes off the ball. But Costello, though, is on the ball. But Colville, good foot in here, and hopefully a chance for us to do something on the counter attack. For some reason, there, our player who was thought it was Leak. Not too sure why it's not Lahane. but did run away there from the ball when we had a good situation 2-on-1, but meaning now with another chance from a free kick. Evans comes up with a good save to keep this at 3-0. So unfortunately, all the chances we're getting have been saved, and Crewe have made the most of theirs from set pieces and balls far post. The Costello with a first half hat trick. We are struggling. We need to make lots of subs here at the back at half time. So what we're going to do here is bring on Salam at right back, Leeson for Lucy, not for Hewlett Singh, as he's sitting on that yellow card. Gully for Leak as well, so free changes at the back, and also Dawoon is struggling on a 6.2. Let's bring on Muhammad for him. 4 subs used at halftime, seeing as we are going so poorly in this one, fingers crossed we can find a way to at least get some goals scored in the second half and make sure this doesn't harm our goal differential too much, like of course that loss did a little while ago now to Fleetwood Town, that 6-2 thrashing, because unfortunately this does feel a little bit similar. But to be fair, our stats from this game not nearly as bad as they were in that Fleetwood Town game. For some reason though, we've just been thumped there from a couple of headers in that first half. Definitely a bit of weakness there, it looks like, with our fullbacks in this team. To be fair, Salem has scored for us before from a corner, so hopefully that improves us defensively here in the second half. Lahane now on the attack, plays it back to Colville, and Manning goes looking for that left-hand corner, but unfortunately that one, another good save there from the Crewe Alexandra goalkeeper. To be fair, Casper a 6.2, so maybe that's another thing that's been a difference maker in this game. Manning goes looking for a goal from a corner routine, but that one, a good save again from Evans, and it might even be a chance here for Crewe Alexandra to launch a counter-attack, to try and get something going here down the right-hand side. Hardy already to assist, but thankfully Gully is well placed there to win that ball back for us. Now Lahane starts to charge his way forward, a good run there through the middle of that Crewe defence, but unfortunately his shot gets saved again there by the Crewe goalkeeper, having an absolute blind. This kind of feels like one of those games where FM wants to make sure we're not doing too well, because we're doing all right stats-wise, but for some reason, just not scoring goals like we have been in previous games. And quite a few players are putting out some absolute stinkers with their match ratings. Again, Manning here will try a shot. This time, it does get blocked, but again, it does maybe get a chance here from set piece. Just not too sure if we want that with our heading situation so far in this one. Can't put out anyone there at the near post, and Colville plays that forward to Manning, who this time gets into an offside position. I think now, while we're here with our final sub, Lahane struggling for once on a 6.4. Let's try Jed Garner for the final half hour of this game. But unfortunately, we're doing quite well XG-wise. We're not that far behind Crewe, but we're still 3-0 down. This is a bit of a funny game, this one, away from home against a decent team. Sometimes we can lay out these absolute stinkers. With 15 minutes left, we might just try Manning on attack as well as both our wingers, and even maybe a higher tempo, just trying to find a way to get ourselves back into this game in case it works, like was the case late on last season. We'll leave the fullbacks on support. Last season, what we did was also chuck those guys onto wing backs on attack, but unfortunately it's Crewe here again with a chance from a set piece, and that time a good shot from outside the box. I think Casper got a touch on that one to put it onto the woodwork, so a good chance there for Crewe to make it 4-0, which is a bit concerning. About to make our way now. A couple of minutes of injury time. I don't think the higher tempo is working. Let's see if a lower tempo works, despite the fact that it wasn't really doing the job for us there earlier in this game. Also, we'll go attacking instead of on positive. A free kick for us here. We go far post, and that one gets saved there from the goalkeeper, and we can't make the most of getting that ball back there down our left-hand side. That will do it. It was a pretty weird game. Their defence have absolute blinders. Their goalkeeper a 7.8, our goalkeeper a 6.0. So I think that kind of sums up the situation from that game. Our defence was not very good, especially in the air. Costello with a hat-trick inside of 25 minutes. And yeah, our XG in the end of that game actually higher than Crewe Alexandra's, but we've suffered a 3-0 defeat. Bit of a weird one, that one. A couple of players out there upset with that team talk. I'm trying to be nice because we're not supposed to be that good. I think that, though, is a little bit of a funny one to end things for today's episode. It's a bad result as well. We drop outside of the promotion hunt off the back of that 3-0 defeat at Crewe Alexandra. So a couple of mixed results there during the course of today's episode. Away from home, a good one against Swindon to pick up a 2-1 win, but then felt like a bit of karma there, that 3-0 loss we suffered at Crewe Alexandra. A couple of weird goals, a hat-trick there through headers to Dara Costello. Just check out what he actually looks like in game. 1.83 metres tall, but honestly, doesn't look that good in the air. For some reason there, he's managed to score a hat-trick of headers against us in that one. Not too sure how that's quite happened, but unfortunately, as you saw before, it does mean we drop outside of the playoff picture. And coming up next, we've got Peterborough United, who are up in second. To be fair, we could be about to drop out of that playoff picture if we don't pick up something from that game. They'll be tricky. Peterborough were one of the pre-season favourites. In fact, they were the pre-season favourite. Chris Coleman, new manager there, got the job going into the start of the season. If we can do something there at home, that will put my faith back in our squad. But maybe we're about to hit a bit of a form bump here with this Buxton team and start to sink to our mid-table obscurity, which, to be fair, I'd still be quite happy with for our first season up here in League 2, especially as for that game we'd probably still be missing a couple of key players down that left-hand side. But I think that will do it for today's episode. Good win over Swindon, then kind of got thumped there by Costello's hat-trick of headers against Crewe. But if you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Now, next time we come back, which will be Tuesday after Easter weekend UK time, so it means if you're like me in New Zealand, that's Wednesday. So to be fair, a little bit of a wait for you guys till the next episode, but it will be. Let's just check out what for. I think we'll skip over Peterborough because there's not really anything interesting around that. Scunthorpe, you saw plenty of those guys last year away from home. We probably actually should win that game based on what we did last year, the first round of the FA Cup. Now, I'm quite hopeful we get through this year. We take on Fylde, who are from the National League. I'd like to think with those guys being in 13th predicted to finish third, but still, that's quite a winnable tie for us there in the first round proper of the FA Cup. So maybe can come back for the second round of that competition, or off the back of that game, and also wrapping up the group stage of the EFL Trophy, we've got the likes of Crawley Town and fourth, of course, the team that thumped us early this season. That was in the first round of the Carabao Cup. And off the back of that, Northampton Town, who currently find themselves on top of the table. So I think we'll come back there in late November for a couple of EFL League 2 games, or maybe the second round of the FA Cup. So until that one early next week, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.